In the name of God, who put a land where two rivers flow and surrounded them, north, south, east, and west, with 5 seas. There are 5 seas of the Middle East, and the 5 seas surround one center landmass. The center landmass is divided by the 2 rivers, the river Euphrates and the river Tigris. And each of the 5 seas have a pearl city where all of the energy and all of the products of mankind have focused into a trade center. Each sea has a city that is the dominating force of life on that sea. Each sea has one pearl city. And the pearl of the Arabian Sea here is the city of Basra, Iraq. And the city of Basra is one that is on the river delta for the 2 rivers that run through the heartland of the Middle East. I am going to read the paper about one of the 5 seas, the Arabian Sea, and the Pearl City. And we are going to go on a satellite journey to see the shores of the Arabian Sea. And finally, I would like to read a story about this land. So this is part of the Pearl City of Basra on the Arabian Sea, one of the 5 seas. This is Basra. Here we are at the Arabian Sea. And in the west, they named this the Persian Sea. But it truly is the Arabian Sea. West of the land of the 2 rivers is a land full of sand, having little or no water bodies, and very dangerous for mankind to travel long distances upon it. East of the 2 rivers is the highlands of the mountain ranges, and they hold freshwater lakes and rivers, being difficult to live and inhabit by mankind due to its elevations. The land of the 2 rivers is the spring of life in the center of the land mass where the 5 seas surround. Everything the blue water touches comes to life and turns shades of the color green. The land of 2 rivers ends at the Arabian Sea basin. The east has a low mountain chain extending the length of the river on the east, providing a shield. High across the mountain range on the east are freshwater lakes with steep rocky banks and difficult to inhabit. In the valley of the rivers, emerald green and other shades of beautiful green. On the west is dunes of sand, stretching for thousands of kilometers, having no waterbeds. All of life flows around the rivers of these two lands. The rivers converge into a delta with many riverways branching like a tree fully blooming. The waterways crisscross, branch, fray, and pool throughout the delta at the north shore of the Arabian Sea, where the rivers Euphrates and Tigris merge into the Shat al Arab. The main channel of the waterway turns to the east towards the highlands of the east shores of the Arabian Sea and continues. This provides the northeast shore of the Arabian Sea with the two waterfronts, a sea and a river which runs parallel. The fertile river delta is 200 kilometers from the east to the west and provides everything from the north shores of the Arabian Sea, a water channel, and a cityscape to journey through, and a passageway to the far north towards the shores of the surrounding seas of the Middle East. Mankind has focused his energy and power and developments into the economy of this land at the river delta where the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers meet the Persian Sea. The city that lives upon the river delta is the pearl of the Arabian Sea, named the city Basra. At the east shore of the Arabian Sea is a highland from the north to the south along the east shores. This land is known as the country of Iran. On the northwest of the Arabian Sea is Kuwait, where mankind has focused his economy and his life surrounding the inlet from the Arabian Sea. Kuwait City looks southward from the north shore, having most of the power and the economy of the country developed there. On the western shore of the Persian Sea, south of Kuwait, and halfway across the length of the Persian Sea, is an island named Bahrain, and a much larger peninsula named Qatar. Further south and west, on the west shore of the Arabian Sea, is the country of United Arab Emirates, who sits on the panhandle at the southern shore of the Arabian Sea. The south shore of the Arabian Sea turns eastward to a wide water channel opening into the Gulf of Oman. To the west shore is the country of Oman, and to the east shore is Pakistan. For all of the waterways east of the planet, the Persian Sea is the first sea of the Middle East for the east to access the cities to the west. All of the economy of India, Asia, and Australia, when traveling westward upon the ocean, it will be more near to the Arabian Sea than with any other of the 5 seas of the Middle East. This is the first access point to the Middle East. The North Shore provides the only waterway due north into the heart of the landmass of the Middle East. Basra is the pearl city of the Persian Sea because the life of the river delta, where the river meets the Arabian Sea, the economy of mankind has flourished there and focused the developments of mankind. Allahu Akbar. God, we demand the defense of the people of the land of the 5 seas and stop the government from waging war on the people. Your loving daughter, Kamel Alwan, written on January 22nd of 2024. So I'm going to read a story about a true historical leader, and his name is Kamel Mahmoud Alwan, also known as Abu Abdullah al Aswadi. And we're going to talk about another city here, um, in the influence of the one of the five seas, the Arabian Sea, also known as the Persian Sea. So here are the five seas of the Middle East. One, two, three, four, five. Five seas of the Middle East. And it's an essential understanding that this is half of our world and this is the other half. It's entirely blue. That would mean that this is a half of a world's journey to travel, and that makes these five C's a very important traffic way for all of this side of the world, which is all of us. So for the for this part of the world to access this part, it is an easier, faster, and you can carry more if you travel on the water. It's a naturally easier way to travel. And if you come from any of these eastern lands, and all of the things that you can produce in these lands, due to all of the the geography and the climate and the ecosystems of this side of the world that produce all of these things that this other part of the world that is not environmentally designed to allow to thrive, and vice versa. And the connection between them has enriched our lives. And from traveling east to the west, the first seas that you come upon is the Arabian Sea. And here is the city Basra, the pearl of the Arabian Sea, and it's significant to her. And this is the pearl because of the water access and its position as the river delta. And you can see how much blue is there and how it brings to life and makes green this area. This is the city Basra. And this is the Shat al Arab, and it comes around the waterfront, and there's rivers in these waters and lakes, in these mountains, in these elevations here to the east. And this is the demarcation for the country of Iran in these highlands. And these are your lowlands and your river delta, where the Tigris and the Euphrates are bringing all of the life is centered around this fertile valley where it ends in the river Basra. Here at the west shores of the great Arabian Sea is the city of Kuwait City, and they have focused all of the economy here at the shore and the inlet. So from the city Basra, looking south, and at our right hand, Kuwait City, and at our left hand, the elevations of Iran and the river that's running parallel in these water bodies here. And at our and southward, southward along the shallow banks of the west side of the Arabian Sea, and that would push all of the water traffic away from these difficult lands, and it would also make a shield on this east side for that waterway, buffering the waterway for the north against the south. This is the east shores here up at the north of the Red Sea. I'm sorry, the Arabian Sea. The Arabian Sea, also known as the Persian Sea. And back across to the west shores. Now we'll arrive halfway through the west shores at the country of Bahrain. And you can see that the life is focused. This is a city. Just incredibly, just a metropolis. The metropolis is here at this inlet. And here's Bahrain. And here is the grand island or peninsula, the Arabian Peninsula of Qatar. And the life is focused through springs and wells, underground springs and wells, freshwater springs and wells on the peninsula that's supplying the life that's just erected over these waterfronts. This is Qatar, city in Qatar. And we continue southward along the Arabian Sea on the west. Here in the Panhandle is the United Arab Emirates, and this territory belongs to the United Arab Emirates, and behind them is just pink and red and white, just tremendous distances, just stretches forever and ever out into the desert lands. And here at the waterfront is the United Arab Emirates, entirely focused on all of this blue and green. This is the life. This is all of the knowledge, all of the power, all of the energy, all of the economy, all of the people, everything that man had, and he focused it here. They're just entirely just up and up and up to the sky. And just all of the riches there. And that is the panhandle of the Arabian Sea. Before you exit this water channel, and this is south out into the Gulf of Oman, and now at our west is Oman, and it's more mountainous and not as fertile as the other lands in the panhandle. Certainly not. And out in the Gulf of Oman, on the eastern side, is Pakistan. And these shores very fertile, very green, but not inhabited. We don't have a grand development here, but as we know, Pakistan, that's because of these mountains that make it difficult. But Pakistan has a pearl city named Karachi, where they have vocalized And so here at the other panhandle is the pearl of this gulf. And it's not one of the 5 seas. But again, the economy of mankind is focusing on this in this next sea body, which is this is the Gulf of Oman, and then this is the Great Arabian Sea. This is the smaller Arabian Sea, also known as the Persian Sea. And you have another pearl city, and it's here at the panhandle. And that is a power structure. Here is where she is. Not here, not here, not here. Here is where she was. And why? Why is there just millions upon millions focused there with all of the power? There is a riverway here. This is a river delta, and this is life. So these are this is the power structure of mankind owing to the geography. And here's our 5 seas, and this is the first sea that you would arrive in the middle from the east, coming from the east. And it would be one of the channels for the west to access eastward. But certainly for the east, this is her nearest stop. And this is loaded with Arabian kings. There's not one king here. There's not one king of this sea. There's a power struggle. And the last writing is a story about this is an incredible structure. It's an ancient architecture in the city of Samarra, Iraq, and that would be this is Basra, and this is from Samarra, who is here on one of the grand rivers. And when you, on the river Tigris in Iraq, here is your Arabian Sea, and here is your pearl city of Basra. And when you follow the riverways of the Euphrates and the Tigris up the river valleys, they go to Syria and they continue into Iraq. And these are some of the crown cities: Baghdad and Tikrit and Mosul and Samarra and Erbil. And this is the one we'll talk about. So, and this is just a river map of Iraq here at the Arabian Sea, the riverways of the Tigris and the Euphrates, and this is the Iranian rivers up in the mount elevations. The life of Mujahid Kamel Mahmoud Alwan, where the sand dunes of the Arabian desert meet in the north, in the heart of two rivers, there is a land named the Cradle of Civilization. It is the land of two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. For more than 1,000 years, camel caravans have carried the fruits of trade from lands far, far away, in a different world in people's minds. The Arabian sun rolls waves of heat across the open flatlands and sweeps water away from everything it touches. Where the blue rivers lie, reflecting the sky and kissing the body of the earth, where the lips of the water embrace the earth, you will find that it has stopped every process of death and replaced it with every shade of green. Green tea, green mint, green pistachio, lime green, cucumber green, sea green, blue green, olive green, emerald green, sage green, pear green, palm green, firm green. You will see the green color changing with the light of the sun as it falls below the horizon, and the moon sheds its gentle light on the green beds resting near flowing water. And you will see every shade of green in the light and every shade of green in the dark. In 1970, the Arab day rose over a golden city named Samarra in Iraq. There is a small boy. He is 10 years old and he lives here. His skin is golden brown, caramel. His hair, it's black and thick and curly. His eyes are brown, and his face, it has perfect proportions. The 10-year-old boy stands near the steps of this ancient 170-foot minaret. He starts to climb. The steps are small and they spiral upwards. On his right side, he could see the ground beginning to fall further and further beneath him. His heart, it's moving faster now. He is watching his right side every step, and the thoughts in his head and the feeling in his body, his sensations of his body, it's getting more stressed and difficult. He is going up, up, up. He has never been more near death than this. He is 10 years old. If the boy falls from the ladder, his life in this world will end. If you fall from here, and this is the Tower of Babel, and this is a curse that the world's connections and the connections of mankind are being broken apart by the idea that he cannot understand what another one is said is speaking, because the tongue is different. So he feels terrified of the death that is staying in his mind as he is walking up into the sky. Yes, he is afraid of death because he is 10 years old and he is full of life. And anyone who is thankful for their life is afraid of death. And the 10-year-old boy is ascending to heaven with the heart of a lion, and he reaches the top where the sandstone walls wrap around a small chamber. It's a room to protect them from the heights. From the window, he could see the golden city below him. And he stands in the sky of the golden city, Samara, looking at her. His name is Kamel Mahmoud Alwan, Abu Abdullah al-Aswadi. The roots of this minaret, they go back to an ancient and influential history that changed the life of the people on earth forever. This is a book that was revealed to you, O Prophet. Do not let anxiety into your heart about it, lest you warn the disbelievers therein as a reminder for the believers. The 10-year-old boy, Iraqi boy named Kamel, he stands high in the sky and he looks across the golden city of his home, and he knows there's a way to have a good and happy life, and there's a way of this life where people hurt another person and never care about the cries and the suffering, and he knows that he wants to be the good guy. The boy is now 20 years old, and this minaret has stood over his city for 20 years, and it has whispered something into his soul about a book of knowledge and about leaders who liberated the oppressed from evil tyrants, leaders who established lands where the oppressed could take refuge, about leaders who liberated the lands from the grip of monsters. He knew that with this book in his hands, he had an important message to teach people. He needed to tell people that anyone who thinks it's okay to hurt other people, you're wrong, and you will pay a price that your eyes cannot see openly at this time. And he needed to tell the people of the world that evil, it's a path of self-destruction, and he wanted justice for his people and a beautiful life. His young 20-year-old face now, it's it looks like a strong man, and he no longer has the baby face. He is 40 years old, and he hears news of a big movement overseas, and that there would be powerful leaders again coming to this land. And he knows that this is the roads where of the crossing of many leaders. And he knows that life will be different. The man, Kamel Mahmoud Alwan, Abu Abdullah al-Aswadi, this man, he knows that the leaders from that come from anywhere, that they do not always work on making a beautiful life in our city. And this is our city. And there are leaders, they are coming from everywhere. And we know, living here, that when they come, that they do not always make everything beautiful. So we're not in any kind of dream about these people who are coming. And he is there on this day when an army comes, and they come with overwhelming firepower, and they struck from the air onto the city, and they began to destroy the city. And 5,000 soldiers advanced. It was a group of 500 men who live here versus 5,000. Within 3 days, more than 100 men were killed, and Kamel was captured by enemy forces along with nearly 200 of his fighters, and he was taken to a jail, a prison, and the soldiers who took him in this jail began to attack him, and they began to ask him, where can we find more bombs? We need more bombs. Where are all the bombs? Tell us, where are these bombs? And they never got any information about this because he did not have something to give him. And the truth is that this army, it's have the dogs for smelling the bombs, and it's have the technology, he can search for the bombs. So he did not need to hit anybody. And the truth is that these men, it does not need anything from him, just his city. And because of this, because of the last justice in the world from God, Allahu Akbar, this man who was in the jail and everyone was set free after some time. All of them, they were set free, and he was waiting for this day until this day came, and the doors of the jail opened, and the men of Iraq were free again in his land, in his city. This was written in February of 2023. Allahu Akbar.